Hi ladies, welcome to another episode of Becoming Me TV. I'm Maria McGrath, founder of Restore Balance and Harmony, and I am creating a series of interviews and conversations around owning our BS, getting through, breaking through the BS mindset that we may have, break free of the past emotional baggage so that we can continue on our journey to becoming who we are, who we were always meant to be. So, for me, life is a journey and we're always continuing. We're learning, we're growing, we're adapting, we're expanding to becoming who we are. And we are different people at different times throughout our lives. And that became very clear to me when I started reading the Michelle Obama, Becoming Michelle Obama book. And yesterday I was reading and I came across a passage which I thought was really, really profound. It resonated with me in what we're doing with this emotional BS that we're talking about. Now, we all have a journey. We're all going through stuff, but there is a thing that goes through with women. There are emotions that are worldwide, or it doesn't specifically stick to a specific race or a culture or a country. It is there in our DNA, and it is being passed down, and it, this becomes evident when I'm reading this book. Michelle Obama, as we know her, it was, or still is, obviously she's not the First Lady anymore, but she was a very proud woman. She's very strong, she's very courageous, she's beautiful and poised, and all of these things that we know her to be from seeing her on television. And to read her book and hear her reading, and she's going through all the different areas of her life, talking about the biggest driving force from the earliest memories that she has was her not believing that she was good enough. And I know that this resonates with a lot of women. It's something that a lot of women have. I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not successful enough, not skinny enough. There's any kind of version of I'm not enough. But, when I was reading this book, and it has the story of her childhood, very, very young, through her teenage years, going to different schools, being in a very African-American neighbourhood, to then going to schools where there was, more diversity, then going to college, and every single driving force along the way, where she was working so hard to get to where she wanted to go. But the underlying issue, the thing that was driving her, was that she didn't want anyone to tell her she wasn't good enough. She studied really hard. She read everything. She did everything because she didn't want anyone to tell her she wasn't enough. That was the underlying issue that she had throughout the course of, I've only got so far, but this piece that I want to read to you was from when she went to college, and I'm not sure whether it was Princeton or whether it was when she further went to Harvard to study law. So, it was a big transition for her. She'd gone from where, there was just African Americans in the school to where there was, a bit of multicultural, there was a bit half and half, and then she went to college where it was mostly white, and she felt she stuck out as being a black woman, black person at these schools. And then when she went to the Harvard to study law, it was more male. They were white and they were male. But this is the thing that gets me. This was the part that I realised that they, the males, weren't at all smarter than us. Weren't at all that smarter than us. They were simply emboldened, floating on an ancient tide of superiority, buoyed by the fact that history had never told them any different. So this is coming from one of the most amazing women of the current time. And this is looking back as she's reading and looking back at her life. But she realised at the time, she was just as smart as all of these people, all of these men, all of these guys, but she had never ever, before this point, imagined that. She had come to this realisation that they just believed in themselves. They had this confidence. They had an assurity. There was absolutely no insecurities within them. And that was because history had never told them otherwise. Okay, I really think that is so important for us to understand, because history has held and suppressed women for centuries. Okay, and this is why, right now when we're living our lives today, we think that, I'm the only one who's feeling this. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling not good enough. I'm feeling like I don't fit in, like I've got to compare and compete. And all of these things are, I have a fear of failure, a fear of being judged, of criticized, of, so much stuff. And we're in this place where we think that it's, is this just me? Is it just me? I can't do this. It seems like everybody else can do all the things that I want to do. Why can't I do it? But really, it is a female thing. There are so many of us. We're hiding behind masks. We're in this fake it till we make it place. Not to say that there aren't some out there that are kicking ass and kicking goals and making great things. There are a lot of women who have insecurities and are still doing all of that. There are some women out there who don't have any insecurities. But there are a lot of women who are struggling with all of this emotional BS, all of this mindset stuff, all of this noise in their head. And we think that it's just us. Well, it's not. This has been handed down from generation, because throughout history, okay, men have been the dominant. They have said, the men are the workers. We go out to work, you stay at home, you do this. Men, do it all. And we have been in a place where we have had to grow and learn and work through these emotions to really get to a place where we can get back to being confident, being secure in knowing ourselves. There is so many tools out there that are helping, but a lot of them have been created by the male mind, so they're not quite understanding the depth that these emotions go for women. They are not quite understanding the width, the amount of crap, okay, the amount of BS that is running around in women's minds, that is holding us back, that is causing us to stay stuck. And I think this message is really important with the International Women's Day coming up in just a couple of weeks, because we're talking about, having equal pay and equal everything, this pay parity and everything else. And it comes down to, yes, that is absolutely wonderful to say as a big voice, as women throughout the world, to say we need equal rights. We need equal pay. We need this. But it's going to have to be a journey at a individual level for a lot of women, okay? Because if you don't have the confidence to walk up and say, put your hand up and speak out and say, I want that job, I'm capable of doing it, this, then there is a man who is going to say that because he does not have the lack of confidence or the insecurities and all of this other baggage that women do. Okay, throughout history, they have not. I'm not saying that there aren't men who don't have bits of insecurities, but it's not as deep and it's not as wide and as big as it is for women. It just isn't. Okay, they haven't been suppressed and held back throughout history, and that does make a difference on how we're living our life right now. To think, floating on an ancient tide of superiority, buoyed by the fact that history had never told them any different. It has never ever said that men weren't worthy or good enough, that they couldn't work, that they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. They've never been told that, where women were told that for centuries. Okay, and I'm not making this up, and I'm not saying this to try and create some kind of I don't even know the word I'm thinking of, to cause people to have an outcry or outrage. It's a simple fact, go back 100 years. Women were not working, or the majority of women certainly were not working. They weren't voting. They couldn't go to the pub. They didn't have the freedom that we have now, just 100 years ago. I can remember when I was 18. Well, I can remember a lot further, but a specific time when I was 18, and I had one of my bosses say to me that it was inappropriate and it shouldn't happen for a woman to go to the pub. Now, I live in a very small country town, and there was like 2 pubs and 2 clubs, and that's it. And my mother actually was there at the time, and she said, well, where the hell else is she going to go? But if she hadn't been there and said that, I would have thought, oh my God. I would have still went, because I was in that place where obviously there was no other, and I was, growing and changing and doing what I wanted to do, and I guess coming back, being me, being not disrespectful, but wanting to go my own way and do my own thing, and not listening to the adults that I didn't think knew what they were talking about. But it would have had an effect on me that man said, that is not a place for women. And that is only going back, 30 years, not 100. Okay, this was a big thing. And we have so much baggage, whether we know it, whether it's really standing out and slapping us in the face that this is the reason why I'm not, jumping up the ladder as fast as what I want to, or I'm not, living the life that I want to. I'm feeling, like life isn't all that it should be. It's because there are layers of emotions, layers of BS, of layers of beliefs that are holding us back from being all that we want to be. And there is a way to get rid of that, to wipe the slate clean of all that past, all that history, all that ancient crap that we have been stuck in. Okay, and that's where we are. It's just a simple fact. There are a lot of women who do go for jobs, and they get there, and they're big CEOs and things in corporations. And I've even spoke to some who've said, when women apply for jobs under me, I will give them to the men because they have confidence and the women don't. Okay, we need to wipe the slate clean of all this ancient baggage. Some of it's not even our own. This lack of self-worth, lack of self-love, the insecurities, the fears that we've got going. And we have to work on them at an individual level to then stand up and say and fight for what we want. We can, like I said, as a community, as a group, as the worldwide women's voice, say, that we need this and we're fighting for this. But if as individuals we don't show up in that way, where we are confident and we know our worth, we know that we're of value, we know that we have the abilities and the education and the strength and the purpose to do these things, then if we don't believe that about us, then how is the other gender going to believe that and then give us what we're asking for? I'm not saying we don't deserve, we do, but we have to work on ourselves and have those strengths, because we shrink in that individual space when we think. And I can remember I applied for jobs, and I even applied for raises at different times, and I had one of my bosses say, well, no, you're not doing that job, you're not doing that, you're not worth that amount of money. And I stewed on it for probably 12 months. But in the end, I stood up and said, hey, I do this, and this, and it's not listed. We had one of those government jobs where you had listed everything that you had to do to be able to then go to the next level. But I had to sit down and I had to prove my worth to that man in every single piece of that paper. And I lost all respect. But that was me. He didn't understand. He didn't know what I did. I don't know why he didn't know what I did. He was my boss. But men think in a different way than we do as women. We think in a different way than they do. And we need to understand those differences as well to be able to fight for what we want, to get what we want, to say what we need to say to make it happen for us. Okay? It has been a long time of being the weaker sex. We might not want to say that, but that is what and how we've been treated throughout history. We have been the lesser. They've been the ones that go out and make the money, and they still believe that that's their role. You know, they have beliefs and systems and emotions around that they're the ones that should do this, and that is their job. And that, you know, so we have to have an understanding. We have to know what we want. We have to know, number one, that we're worthy. Two, that we're confident. You know, confidence, and it only comes from within. You know, you can have 1,000 people teach you how to be confident, but if you get those learnings from inside of yourself, then you will know that, and it will be. It won't just, you know, I won't just be thinking that. I won't be pretending or faking it till I make it. I know, and I want to help other women get to that place of knowing. I worked on a client this morning, and second guessing myself was one of her biggest blocks. Putting myself last and feeling disappointed. And I spoke about that, you know, it's been a theme coming through for the last 3 or 4 clients. We're either disappointed in ourselves or we've got a fear of disappointing others. It's massive, okay? Feeling like we're not good enough. Feeling like we have to put ourselves last. And that's the value that I'm talking about there. We have to value ourselves. So I want you to, if this makes sense, and I know I've rambled, if this makes sense to you, that you believe that you have been struggling with that mindset BS, this is the reason why you're not kicking the goals that you want to kick. Okay, that you are not reaching the heights. You know, you've come so far and all of a sudden you're banging against the ceiling. You can't seem to get to the next level. Maybe you don't have the confidence to walk in and tell your boss you need a raise, or that you want a new job, or that you want the next level. You know, reach out to me and have a conversation. I mean, what do you have to lose? Your insecurities, your fears, your blocks, your beliefs that are not serving you, the BS mindset that is currently holding you stuck where you are right now, stopping you from getting to that next level. Maybe it's stopping you from even starting. Okay, there are so many women who have such a fear of rejection and failure, a fear of success, that they don't even start. They're stuck. Okay? So if you want to get started, you want to get rid of the stuff that is holding you back, that's keeping you stuck, reach out, have a conversation. Like I said, what do you have to lose? All the bad, all the negative, all the stuff that's holding you back. What do you have to gain? Self-worth, self-love, self-confidence, amongst a whole heap of other inner wisdom that you're going to get that will push you forward. It will propel you, okay? And it will give you peace. It will give you joy. It will give you contentment. It will give you clarity about what it is that you really, truly want, where you're meant to go with your life. So I hope this makes sense. Reach out to me if you have interest, you want to know more, you want to go in depth, you want to ask me some questions. Book a call. I will put my calendar somewhere here. So book in and have a chat, and we'll see where we go. Have a wonderful day.